It was meant to be a night of laughter and nostalgia. Fans had gathered in Bradford for an evening with Katie Price and Kerry Katona, expecting stories about fame, family, and the wild world of reality television. But as Katie Price began speaking, the energy in the room shifted. Her voice softened, her expression changed, and what followed stunned the audience. According to people in attendance, Katie Price shared something deeply personal, a painful part of her past that she had carried for years. She spoke about a traumatic experience and reportedly named a well-known television figure whom she claims had assaulted her many years ago. The room fell silent. Those there that night said it was one of those moments where everyone felt the weight of her words. Katie Price, one of Britain's most famous and controversial public figures, has never been a stranger to media attention. For decades, her life has played out on front pages, from her rise as a glamour model under the name Jordan to her appearances on reality TV, her marriages, her struggles, and her triumphs. But behind the headlines and the fame, she has also spoken about pain, heartbreak, and trauma. Back in 2009, Katie revealed in an interview that she had once been raped by a, quote, famous celebrity, though she refused to name who it was. She repeated the claim in 2012, but again made clear she would never identify the person publicly. At that time, Surrey police issued a statement acknowledging they were aware of her comments, but confirmed that no formal complaint or detailed report had been filed. They said, quote, Surrey police treats all reports of sexual offenses very seriously and investigates them thoroughly, encouraging anyone who may have been a victim to come forward. Based on our inquiries and the lack of substantiated information, particularly around locations and dates, we have recorded an incident, but due to its very historic nature, we are dependent on Ms. Price's cooperation to formally record a crime and continue any investigation. That statement has remained the official position for years, and it's worth noting that the individual Katie reportedly named during her tour has not been confirmed publicly by any credible news outlet. No legal action or criminal investigation has been reopened, and no one has been charged in connection with her claims. During the Bradford event, witnesses said Katie appeared emotional, yet calm. She reportedly spoke about how keeping silent for so long had taken a toll on her mental health, and how trauma can shape every part of a person's life, even decades later. Her close friend, Kerry Katona, stood beside her, offering quiet support as the audience listened. In the days that followed, the revelation made national headlines. Media outlets such as The Sun and the Evening Standard reported that Katie had allegedly named a TV personality during her tour, but none of them published or confirmed who that person was, again, to avoid legal risk and to respect privacy laws. The focus quickly turned not to the identity of the alleged attacker, but to the emotional weight of Katie's decision to speak publicly after years of silence. For Katie Price, this may have been a moment of release, a chance to reclaim control of her story. She has often spoken about the way fame can amplify pain, and how, despite living a glamorous life in front of cameras, there were many moments behind the scenes filled with trauma and fear. She shared her struggles with depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress, saying that these experiences have left long-term scars. The audience that night witnessed something rare, a celebrity moment stripped of pretense, raw and human. Some fans described her as fragile yet brave, while others expressed concern that she was reopening old wounds without legal protection. But one thing most agreed on was that it felt honest. Since her first public mention of the assault in 2009, Katie has become an outspoken advocate for mental health awareness and for survivors of abuse. She has said that speaking up, even years later, can help others feel less alone, and her willingness to share painful details about her life has encouraged open conversations about the lasting effects of trauma. Still, the road ahead remains uncertain. At this time, there is no confirmation that police have reopened any case, and the name Katie mentioned on stage has not been made public by credible outlets. It remains an unverified personal account, not an official allegation. In the UK, both survivors and accused individuals are protected by strict privacy and defamation laws, especially in cases involving historic claims. Many who heard her story have expressed sympathy, recognizing how difficult it is for any survivor to come forward. Others have called for due process, reminding the public that claims of this nature must be handled carefully, with respect for both truth and legal boundaries. What's clear, however, is that Katie's revelation has once again sparked a wider discussion about how survivors are treated, about the pressure of fame, and about the balance between personal truth and public scrutiny. Katie Price's life has never been simple. She's been celebrated, criticized, mocked, admired, sometimes all at once. But through it all, she continues to face the public, sharing her story on her own terms. For some, her openness feels empowering. For others, it's painful to watch. Yet either way, it reminds us that even celebrities, with all their fame and fortune, can carry invisible scars. Whether or not this latest revelation leads anywhere legally, it's a moment that will likely remain part of Katie Price's complex legacy. A story about fame, trauma, and survival. A story that began with silence and ended with a voice, trembling perhaps, but finally free. And as the lights dimmed that night in Bradford and the audience sat in stunned quiet, one thing became clear. Katie Price may have spent decades living in the headlines, but this time the story wasn't about scandal. It was about a woman finally taking back her narrative, not for fame, not for sympathy, but simply to be heard.